Hi, it's Mommy Life Coach, Andromeda L.C. You can find me on Instagram as Mommy Life Coach and my website, mommylifecoachme.com. I'm author of the books Consciousness Since Birth, and I'm certified andragogist. That means I'm specialized in social science and human learning behavior, and it's an educational science, and I'm applying this to parenting and to how we can see or change society. Andragogy means that we look at all ages of a human development equally, as well as going into specifics of what suits you in that certain phase of life. But there's no authority difference between being older and younger. We are all human and we carry all ages within us. Children can lead as much as adults can, and so in parenting with andragogy, we let the child also lead, and we let the child be the boss of his own body, his own mind, and his own emotions. So this brings a lot of peace for parents. This solves a lot of problems for troubled parents or children, and it creates a new model for how we can live together as human beings and birth our way through life. Okay, so it's something that I talk about in the 3 books, and you will have lots of practical information as well on baby care and on parenthood, or also specifically dadhood and especially motherhood. And this chapter is chapter 7 of volume 2, and it's called Peace on Earth Begins at Birth, Milk and Moms. Contributing to a better you and the better world is easy peasy. Unlike the title might suggest, this chapter talks about breastfeeding failures, postpartum depression, and birth violations. We need to talk about this because life and our world as is or could be starts at birth, and the birth of our mothers as creators on one end and our fathers at the other, and sustaining and supporting the tradition. Much of our traditions start or could start with breastfeeding, and our beliefs about breastfeeding, because it is like the second birth to our baby and their health into the physical world. We need to feed. It also models how we treat adults and our mothers as the ship, the vessel of life. The baby and adult is treated in a certain way related to breastfeeding, which not only affects the moment now, it affects the future peace of Earth and the inner peace of a human, defined in bonding, attachment, and health of our adult baby and all adult babies together. So I would like to start out by talking about the breastfeeding and the failures of achieving a consistent breastfeeding, as well as the adult's feelings that comes with this experience. So how much milk does my baby need? Breast milk is typically produced on demand. Baby suckling of the nipples signals to the mama's body that it needs milk and more milk to come. It's an indication of keeping the milk supply ongoing, because as long as the nipples are suckled, milk will be on demand for years to come. Even without suckling, the breasts are ready to restart production for years to come. The less baby nurses, the less mama's body makes milk. As long as your baby is feeding of a breast, there is milk. There is, in my opinion, no real worry about the amount of milk provided or taken by your baby, because it's an intuitive process, and baby knows how much to drink or not to drink. And your body knows what to do. Even the mother's body knows which kind of milk to produce for her baby in that particular time. Suckling tends to lead to close, which I mean the the scars, the opening, the tears. Tears lead to bleeding and infections, or bacteria entering the wounds, which leads to mastitis. You might want to restrain the feeding to 45 to 50 minutes per breast to not overstimulate and prevent the sore nipples. I will dedicate a whole section to treating and healing mastitis, from my personal experience with healing this very common condition, both in the hospital and at home. Breast and bottle is possible, so a different action of the tongue is required for either breastfeeding or bottle feeding. While breastfeeding baby's tongue goes underneath and draws nipple and milk into himself, with a bottle baby must stop and release the flow of milk somehow with his mouth, tongue, or throat. This can lead to confusion for some babies who receive both breast and bottle, but you cannot tell if this will happen for you or not. My second baby took breast milk and formula milk from day one. If he was hungry, he took only formula milk. If he was thirsty, he took only breast milk. The breast, I would say. This lasted for 1 year. My first baby took only formula milk due to wrong latching and mastitis. Health and bonding benefits of breastfeeding. Breastfeeding offers extensive health benefits, so consider staying with breastfeeding until the baby decides to downsize on the feeding. Breastfeeding is also extremely inexpensive, and practical, opposed to buying formula every 3 or 4 days. The budget you save can be spent on your personal care, like manicures, massage, and whatever you will need to keep on the good work. You need to set a budget for this before giving birth. Research shows a good communication between academic results and boys that are breastfed for 6 months or longer. We should be aware of the complex, nutritious, valuable milk that our bodies produce for the baby and how it can replace a cow milk formula if we need the formula. It is a miraculous superpower and keeps adjusting the substance of to the needs of your particular baby. That's the breast milk. A formula will not do that. Yet it will grow your baby up as sufficient as the breastfed baby. A baby kind of grows anyway. I have an example of both. My first baby was breastfed for only 1 month. The second one took breast and bottle for 1 year. They are equally healthy, happy, and intelligent, although the second boy was and is much more of a mommy's boy. Another scientific benefit for the mothers is that she will lower the risk of all sorts of disease, like cancer, arthritis, Alzheimer, for every extra month that she's breastfeeding. I believe that probably the heat of breastfeeding stays in the body if we have never breastfed, because after birth anyway, it's not a choice. Your breasts will make milk. Breastfeeding dads. Breastfeeding offers a way for the dad to be involved and bond with baby and you. Instead of him offering a bottle to baby, he can sit with you at the breastfeeding session and stay seated while he offers you a tea and a talk. He can also sit behind you, give your back support, and a welcome hug and connection. It's very intimate, and I've honestly never ever done it and learned about this option only after breastfeeding had stopped. If you consider doing it, I believe it is a great bonding moment, and it will offer the dad a lot of comfort and respect in his supportive role. Dads can have a tendency to be alienated, not supportive, when their self-esteem is low or when they were hurt by their past relationships, including their own mother. In fact, a man's natural instinct is to be the provider, the hunter, the protector, the supporter. So it is in his favor to share these kind of intimate moments with baby and you. It is also in your family's unit's favor of building up a bond. A dad can be warded from a baby by his instinct or self-esteem because the baby is too fragile for him. But he won't usually have this feeling towards you. So although I do not exclude anything because I have been through all arena of negative connotations. This family unit position, which can include siblings, for a breastfeeding session means everyone can have best of both worlds, and it can give mom a very welcome break from solitude and moments of connection with the other members. This position between mom and dad or siblings is not restricted to breastfeeding. It's also possible with breastfeeding or reading stories, of course. So what if it's not your cup of tea? Breastfeeding should be a natural thing, according to nature, yet somehow the experience feels as the most unnatural option to the majority of women. It takes practice, insights, bonding, and experience, and a whole lot of pain and patience. It also sucks the life out of you, and it's a constant practice, because baby needs your breast every 2.5 hours. It leads to all kinds of feelings of anxiety, depression, and failure. No matter if we breastfeed or if we don't, it causes an experience of failure or guilt. It remains a complex ordeal, and to the majority of women it becomes a traumatic one, especially with the first baby. We want the best for our baby, so the question that runs through our motherly system is, can we achieve and perform? The truth is that a baby needs to be fed, and both ways are good or great, breastfed, bottle, or both during any which duration. It's you that needs the support. Breastfeeding toddlers and children. So if you persist or continue breastfeeding, it can lead up to any age. Lots of women are breastfeeding up to age 1 to 4 years old. As long as the child has a need for milk, which can be up to age 7, it could be prolonged by a period of time and culturally accepted in most cultures. So even women in the Western society, if we think breastfeeding should be no longer than 1 or 6 months, it holds no logic to what mothers are doing, and according to their tiny bodies, their baby's tiny body's nature. The milk of the mother keeps coming and coming, even years after stopping breastfeeding. The baby and the mother will decide on the right timing to stop or reduce. Drinking a cow's milk from a mother cow might not be the natural solution. Thank you. This was Mommy Life Coach. I'm sharing my book through book readings and the knowledge in there to prepare you for motherhood, for parenthood, for daddyhood, and for childhood. Children are sacred beings. Their body is to be respected, their mind, their emotions, their spirit is to be respected. And with andragogy, I describe how to do this, a holistic way. The least or no medication. Vaccinations, of course we talk about it and we do that. I'm talking about any other medication, how to keep the body, the mind, the spirit healthy and happy through andragogy, which means social science and human learning behavior, and also respect for the human and the divine. You can also look at Jung psychology, because Jung psychology will give you tons of new insights and psychology that you need as an adult. And thank you so much. Parent yourself first and foremost, and you will be at peace with your own child. Thank you.